Howdy and good afternoon. Today on Public Eye News, Northern Michigan University's Health Center has begun to prepare to administer COVID-19 vaccinations. And later, Megan Tarcia will have your weather, and I'll be back with the latest in sports. Hi, I'm Nate Jacobs, and this is Public Eye News. In preparation, Northern Michigan University's Health Center has begun to prepare and administer COVID-19 vaccinations. Unsure of exactly when the doses will be available, the university's COVID response team, along with staff members, met last week to coordinate the efforts. When the vaccine does arrive, NMU plans to adhere to CDC guidelines as well as the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services while administering. Looking forward, the school plans on setting up the program similar to the mass screening passport initiative they began using to test students throughout the year. The order of merit for vaccinations is as follows: employees 65 and older, essential frontline workers, those under 65 with underlying conditions, remaining essential workers, and finally other staff members under 65. NMU's top-tier essential staff has already been vaccinated. And the Lake Carrier Association's 2020 shipping numbers have gone overboard. Iron ore shipments at the Lake Superior and Ishpeming Railroad dock in Marquette saw an increase of 69% last January, netting over 420,000 tons. Compared to the average year, the dock usually brings in only 248,000 in January. For all the Great Lakes combined, iron ore shipments increased by almost half in January, bringing in a whopping 2.6 million tons. When the Sault Ste. Marie docks closed for seasonal maintenance on January 15th, the shipping season came to a close. The Lake Carriers Association has been shaping the American industry since 1880. And if you'd like to read up on more, you can, and visit lcaships.com. And the Marquette County Sheriff's Office is asking for public's assistance in locating a wanted fugitive. 35-year-old Dennis Lee Swainer is wanted out of Marquette County for failure to report to jail on a possession of a controlled substance charge and felony absconding forfeiting bond. Swainer was sentenced to 18 months to 18 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. He was ordered by a judge to report to jail on November 20th, 2020, but the Sheriff's Office says Swainer failed to report to jail. Swainer is 5'10", weighs about 165 pounds. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. Anyone with information on its possible location is asked to call the Sheriff's Office tip line at 906-225-8441. And if an unexpected phone call disrupts your workday, it's probably best just to let it go to voicemail. The Marquette Police Department and other local police agencies have seen an increase in telephone and internet scams. The Nigerian prince scammers from a few years back have now come up with more creative ways to get people to send them money. Scammers have computer programs known to mimic, also known as spoofing, local phone numbers, including your local police agency. As a reminder, law enforcement will not request cash through the mail. They also will not request payment in iTunes gift cards or other similar means. If you suspect a call or computer program is a scam, do not provide any information or answer any questions. If it's a call, simply hang up. But don't hang up on us. After this short break, we'll be back with your national news.
On Europe's New Wild, along the iconic Danube River, scientists are helping reintroduce endangered birds to their natural habitat by teaching them their ancient migration routes.
It is pretty amazing. The birds trust you so much, they would go anywhere with you. I would have never believed that there is the possibility to bond with an animal like that.
Tonight at 10 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back. As the continuing process of COVID vaccinations are making their way around the world, Johnson & Johnson may have had a breakthrough. According to an analysis done by United States regulators, just one dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be enough to prevent against the virus. The FDA states that at 66% effectiveness, the overall COVID vaccine will prevent against moderate to severe COVID-19 reactions. About 44.5 million Americans have already begun to receive at least one form of the COVID vaccine, whether that be Pfizer or Moderna, and 20 million have successfully completed the current 2 required doses. J&J tested their form of vaccination on 44,000 adults across the world, but the FDA is unsure of its effectiveness against the variant strains of the virus. J&J is currently expecting to administer 20 million doses by the end of March and 100 million by the end of the summer. President Joe Biden said Tuesday that there's still a good shot that Senate will confirm Neera Tanden to head up against the Office of Management and Budget. but her nomination is in trouble and may not survive. Madeline Rivera has more details from Capitol Hill.
Neera Tanden's nomination to head the Office of Management and Budget has hit a roadblock. Two Senate committees were scheduled to vote on Tanden's nomination today, but both have delayed those votes, a sign she may not have enough support. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who chairs the Senate Budget Committee, and Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who sits on the Homeland Security Committee, have both refused to say whether they support Tanden's nomination. She has little chance of making out of the committees without their votes.
There's one candidate to lead the Budget Department. Her name is Neera Tanden.
The White House is standing by the president's nominee. Press Secretary Jen Psaki issued a statement this morning saying Tanden is a leading policy expert who brings critical qualifications during this unprecedented crisis, and they expect her to be the first South Asian woman to lead the OMB.
Tanden's confirmation is faltering because of past tweets slamming several politicians, including Senator Sanders, while most of her sharper tweets were aimed at Republicans.
You wrote that Susan Collins is, quote, the worst, that Tom Cotton is a fraud, that vampires have more heart than Ted Cruz. You called Leader McConnell Moscow Mitch and Voldemort.
Tanden apologized for those tweets during her confirmation hearings.
I recognize that this role is a bipartisan role, and I know I have to earn the trust of senators across the board.
But it wasn't enough to win over Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who said he didn't believe she would be able to work with Republicans to get legislation through Congress. Madeline Rivera, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
I'm just really trying to find the bathroom.
Okay.
On Tuesday, February 23, 2021, the City of Austin lifted the final boil water notices still in effect. City water service is restored, but there's still a number of apartment complexes without water due to burst pipes. CBS Austin's Lindsay Reyes spoke to tenants in Northwest Austin that have been without water for 1 week and counting.
It just seems like there's no end in sight, unfortunately.
Tenants now on day 7 without running water at the Lantern apartment complex.
I feel like the apartment complex isn't really doing as much as they can to fix it. I mean, everyone else in Austin seems to have their water.
They're having no choice but to use what little resources they have, filling up jugs of pool water just to flush their toilets.
When it first started, I was drinking snow. I was melting it down and drinking it.
The only update they're getting are these text messages saying they have a busted main preventing them from turning on the water.
Our apartment complex shut off the water in an attempt to try to protect the property on Tuesday, February 16th. They did state that pipes were bursting all over and that they didn't want it to occur and cause structure damage.
Austin Water Director Greg Mazzaro says customers have water available and water main repairs are to blame for those still without water.
We're also picking up some calls from customers in apartment complexes without water. Those are most likely associated with repairs that are being done on private infrastructure within those apartment complexes.
Austin Water is now asking those without water to notify their landlord, then call 311 if the issues persist, something Sherelle Moten has been doing since day 1 without water.
There's no comparison to anything that I've ever experienced to what I'm having to live through at this point in time.
Lindsay Reyes, CBS Austin News.
A freeway overpass turned into an emergency runway after a small plane began to have engine trouble and crashed into a car. It happened on 580 right next to the Livermore Municipal Airport in California. KPIK5's Andrea Nicano spoke with the pilot and his father about their harrowing experience.
As you can see behind me, the crane is about to lift this plane to try to get it off the road. It was a close call earlier today as the pilot lost power shortly after takeoff. Just after 5 tonight, this plane took off from the Livermore Municipal Airport. Josh Redson and his father were headed home to Napa, but they knew they were in trouble as soon as the plane got off the ground.
Power loss on takeoff.
Redson says the plane reached about 500 feet, then started gliding down to the Isabel overpass above Highway 580. Air traffic control lost contact with the plane and immediately puts out a call to search for the single-engine Mooney.
Do you see any Mooney on the ground to your left?
Redson tells us he could see a shadow of the white car it ended up hitting as the plane touched down on the road. KPIX5 reporter Juliette Goodrich just happened to be driving by and watched the plane make the emergency landing.
So we were just actually going over the overpass and saw this plane kind of
teetering. It was actually using this overpass as its own runway, if you will, because it was so close to the airport. And then we saw it slam directly into a car. And then from there, we were just hoping that everyone was okay. And fortunately, everyone was.
Redson says the plane skidded and ended up sideways after hitting the white car on the road. Tonight, they are grateful to be able to just walk away from the crash.
I'm glad that we're all okay.
The plane will go back to the airport here in Livermore. That's where NTSB will take a look at the engine to see exactly why this plane lost power. In Livermore, Andrea Nakano, KPIX 5.
After this break, we'll be right back with your weather and sports.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. On this UTR, we torture you with some of our favorite tomfoolery. And we didn't have to dig deep, because you know me, I'll go anywhere, do anything, and talk to anybody to crack myself up. You'll see bits that went right, bits that went wrong, and some that were just, well, almost funny. This isn't under the radar. You just gotta see.
Thursday at 9:30, Friday at 5, and Saturday night at 10:30.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your weather. Behind me is a very windy but sunny NMU campus. Looking into today's conditions, it'll be mostly cloudy with windy skies. Temperature of 25 degrees. Our winds will be northwest-west at 22 miles per hour. Our barometric tonight's conditions will be partly cloudy with a temperature of 12 degrees. Our winds will be west at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And tomorrow's conditions will be cloudy with a high of 31 degrees. Our winds will be west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looking ahead at the UP, starting in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 33 and overcast skies. Manistee is 34 and snow showers. Escanaba, 33 and overcast skies again. Down in Menominee, 37 and snow showers. Iron Mountain, 32 and partly cloudy skies. Ironwood, 29 and partly cloudy skies. Again, up in Houghton, 29 and partly cloudy skies. And here in Marquette, it is 25 and windy. Looking ahead at our weekly conditions, starting with Friday, it'll be a high of 39 and a low of 29, partly cloudy skies. Saturday will be a high of 39 and a low of 22, cloudy skies with snow showers possible at 12 a.m. And Sunday will be a high of 28 and a low of 11 degrees with snow showers. Going over to Nate Jacobs with our sports.
Thanks, Megan. Well, 15-time major championship golfer Tiger Woods was seriously injured yesterday morning following a single-car crash. Tiger was seen by orthopedic trauma specialists at Harbor UCLA Medical Center and underwent several hours of surgery to his right leg. Dr. Amish Mahan, chief medical officer at the Harbor UCLA, said the surgery consisted of rods, screws, and pins to stabilize the foot and ankle. When first responders arrived at the scene, Woods was, quote, awake, responsive, and recovering, end quote. LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva said Tiger's vehicle hit the center divider on the road and rolled over multiple times. Villanueva also said he was driving at a, quote, relatively higher speed than normal, end quote. It's unclear what Tiger's current condition is after the surgery. And after San Diego Padres awarded 22-year-old Fernando Tatis Jr. a record-breaking 14-year, $340 million contract extension, majority owner Peter Seidler said, quote, there's nothing we can't do, end quote. Seidler is trying to put to rest the doubts of others in Major League Baseball have against the Padres and their recent large contracts. In the last 4 years, San Diego has dished 3 different 9-figure contracts to players. They recently gave shortstop Manny Machado a 10-year, $300 million contract and signed Eric Hosmer for 8 years and $144 million. The Padres are in it, and they mean business. Seidler also said, quote, we love this city and we want to honor the support our extraordinary fans give us, end quote. You can see for yourself the Padres will live up to their money during opening day on April 1st. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you today. But from everyone down here at the station, take care now.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.